Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is the case of the Idaho quadruple murders. May the victims rest in peace.
Welcome to this Thursday edition of Banfield. I want to begin with some breaking news on the Idaho murder case. A couple of sources with knowledge of the investigation have told News Nation some details that up until now we did not know. Let me lay a few of these details out, but I do want to warn you that this is graphic information and it is uncomfortable to hear this because we're talking about innocent kids who were killed in that home back in October. And not only that, this is evidence that likely will come out in court at some point. Whether it will be germane to who the killer is or not, that remains to be seen. But it could be evidence nonetheless. With that in mind, let me let you know what these sources have told News Nation. Number one, they told us that the victims, Kaylee Gonzalez and Madison Mogan, were killed first, and they confirmed that Ethan Chapin and Xana Kernodle were killed on the second floor afterwards. And these are some of the other details that they have released. They said that Ethan Chapin was killed in the doorway of Xana Kernodle's room before the killer set upon Xana. The sources say that it appeared Ethan had stepped partly into the hallway where the attack may have begun. These sources also say that Ethan Chapin suffered a slash to the neck. But I have to say that both of these details are in direct conflict with what the coroner had originally told us right here on this program exclusively. And also, they conflict directly with what police have said as well. And those two facts that are in conflict are that all of the victims were in their beds, according to police and the coroner. And according to the coroner, all of the injuries were stab wounds and not slash wounds. So I just want to play for you exactly what it was the coroner said in her words. Were any of them slashed? Were any of their necks cut? Or were these all puncture wounds?
Well, it was a pretty large knife, so it's really hard to call them puncture wounds. And they were definitely stabbings.
Can you tell me, when you say that they might have been sleeping, were they found in beds?
Yes.
So those were the facts that the coroner told us. And like I said, it is in direct conflict with what these two sources familiar with the investigation are now telling us as well. That obviously needs to be sorted out and likely best in a court of law as well. Also want to tell you these other details that we have learned from these two sources, that Xana Kernodle put up a fierce fight when the attacker set upon her, repeatedly grabbing the attacker's knife, so much so that she sustained deep cuts to her fingers and that her fingers were nearly severed. Now, that does actually work in comport with what Xana's father had reported to an Arizona news outlet about what he knew. Thank you for watching.
I find this to be very interesting. The time of death was sometime after 2 a.m. It wasn't 4:15 or 4:05 or 4:17 like the affidavit says. The coroner would know much better because she was one of the first people on the scene. She pronounced them dead. Trigger warning. May God bless their souls. We need to figure this out because it's not right. If the students, the victims, died at 2 a.m., after 2 could be any time after 2. But if it was after 4, the coroner would have mentioned that. There's a lot that is not right here. You heard Banfield, you heard Ashley saying that the information they received from the coroner and the information that they have received now from their sources doesn't add up. If these students died at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., then it is very questionable if it was Brian Kohlberger. I'm just saying the facts. Because Brian Koberger's car was seen there after 3:20, I believe. He came there thrice or twice, but that was all after 3:20, 3:25. He wasn't seen around this house at 2 a.m. at night. We saw the Banfield alcohol minor stop at 2:58. The figures running were around 3:12, 3:17. What is really happening? When was the timelines change? And the coroner was not allowed to go into the crime scene until 5 to 5:30. The surviving roommates called 911 after they called the Sigma Chi boys to open the door. We heard Kaylee's friend, Eva, telling ABC News that she found out at 10 a.m. How come so many people, the friends, the college students, knew about it before the parents, before law enforcement themselves?
Hey, Kaylee. See if she was okay. She obviously didn't ever respond. It was in the morning. With a C, Mabbutt, Mabbutt.
And I'm going to ask you, how long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing it for 16 years, and I just got reelected for another 4.
So what is it that, or I guess, when did you get the call on Sunday?
I got the call just a few minutes after noon that there were 4 homicides, but I didn't go to the scene because of law enforcement doing their investigation first. So I didn't actually go to the scene until about 5 or 5:30.
Can you walk us through, like, for our viewers, kind of the process between when police show up and then you guys getting the bodies and doing your examinations?
Sure. Well, law enforcement goes through and looks for any evidence, takes videos and pictures of everything in there, and they'll start talking with people. So I don't really need to be there for that. They can't move the bodies. I mean, the bodies have to stay as they were until the coroner gets there. So that's what my job is, to look at the bodies.
As a coroner, do you guys do the autopsies and all that?
No, we some do if they're an actual medical examiner, but we have forensic pathologists and we contract with Spokane to do that.
So in your experience, what is it that you saw when you showed up?
Well, there was a lot of blood. It was a very sad scene with 4 murdered college students.
You're ruling all 4 deaths homicides?
Yes.
Okay. And can you give us a manner of death? Yeah.
I believe that the press release was that they were from a sharp object. So
stabbings.
Yeah, I will know more after the autopsies tomorrow.
And do you believe this could be a murder-suicide or?
No, there are 4 homicides.
4 homicides. Okay. And when it comes to doing the investigation post-autopsy, that falls on you, correct?
Yes. It's my job to determine the manner and mechanism of death.
And then I know with toxicology results, there can often be, in Washington, a delay. So do you have any idea how long it could take if those were relevant to get any type of results back on that?
Well, the toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner.
I found that surprising and concerning. Shouldn't they be taking a toxicological report? just in case the girls and Ethan have been overdosed or given drugs to, or a roofie, something like that. I'm just giving out examples because this is not normal. A toxicological report should be done. I personally believe that Maddie, may she rest in peace, did not look quite right in the grub truck. Why wasn't there toxicological reports taken? Aren't they supposed to conduct everything so that they can get the proper manner of death?
There can often be, this in Washington, a delay. So do you have any idea how long it could take, if those were relevant, to get any type of results back on that?
Well, the toxicology reports, right, they usually take 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes longer. But they might, I don't think they're going to be relevant in the actual manner or cause of death.
And do we know how long between the time of death and when police found them, approximately?
No, I don't know for sure.
Do we have like any, like, could it have been hours? Could it be before in Moscow?
Since I've been coroner, there have been at least 2 other multiple homicide scenes that I've been involved in. So.
Would you say this is probably the most gruesome?
It's hard to just single it out. It's the only one I've been to where there have been 4 people at one scene. There have been the other ones have had multiple scenes.
And was anybody else injured, like any non-deceased people?
Not that I'm aware of, but I wouldn't necessarily be notified either.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like, because the injuries could be similar, it might matter to you.
Oh,
But,
right.
Okay.
Were the deceased all in close proximity to each other, or were they in different rooms?
I don't know that I can discuss that.
It's a very different. 2 a.m. is a dark hour, I can tell you that. This is something you wake up and you realize it's never going to go away. And it's a very different. 2 a.m. is a dark hour, I can tell you that.
I hope you all heard that. 2 a.m. is a difficult hour for all of us. That means for all the parents. Something happened to these 4 beautiful souls at 2 a.m. because the coroner has written on the death files 2 a.m. after 2. The parents have been told, definitely. So that doesn't add up with the timeline of Brian Christopher Koberger. There's so much conflicting things happening here that is the reason we are asking why the timeline has been changed. Around 2, after 2, we saw a lot of things happening. 4 figures running. The Banfield alcohol minor stop was going on. All those boys looked odd. Something wasn't right. Why did BK go there at 4:05? Did someone in the house call him to maybe frame him? Just asking. It's a question. Because I believe the parents and I believe the coroner. The coroner was the first person to come into the scene. After the police, I don't know why the police did not let her in first. Usually the forensic team and the coroner comes at once. What is going on? a.m. is a difficult time for all of us. That means for her family, Ethan's mother's family and father, the siblings, and all of us means all the victims involved and their families. What happened at 2 a.m.? We got it from the parents and we got it from the coroner. So this happened after Maddie and Kaylee came home. Where was Ethan and Xana? From 8 to 9 they were in the Sigma Chi. Where were they after that? The 2 surviving roommates came home at 1 o'clock, allegedly, because we are not sure. I don't know what to be sure of anymore. We need to figure out why the timelines was changed. Was the timelines changed so that it could suit the white Hyundai that the police were searching for? Allegedly, it's just a question. Something doesn't make sense. Who was the target? Was the students the targets or was the resident the target? What was the motive? Please like, share, and subscribe. Justice to the victims. May they get the proper justice. Praying for them. Have a lovely day.